Wait, we haven't done a cold open.
You know, I was thinking that. I don't know.
Well, I'll tell you what, Michael. Yesterday I saw Black Klansman.
Black Panthers?
Yeah, there were actually Black Panthers in the movie. But
what did you think, Luke?
It was actually really enjoyable, Michael. And
Speaking about films about white I also saw a film about white supremacists yesterday.
Oh, what was it?
It was Green Room.
Green Room. I think I've seen that.
It's about a punk rock band who goes to perform at a kind of skinhead neo-Nazi
Is it based in Oregon?
clubhouse. Yes.
Yes. Saw that ages ago.
And
Can't
it
remember
stars
what
Patrick
happened.
Stewart.
Oh, good. Oh,
yeah,
white
it's pretty-
supremacist movies are always fun. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, have you seen the Lindsay Ellis video where she evaluates the producers?
No, I have not.
Well, I disagreed with her, actually.
Ah. Well, maybe you can make a video replying to her, like you did with the
Yeah, maybe
Amazing
I
Idiots.
can say, oi, bitch, you stupid feminist. It had nothing to do with feminism.
Just say it anyway. You'll get the
Hey,
likes.
stupid feminist. SJW soy boy.
Soy. What's a soy boy?
Someone who eats a lot of soy. And the thing is, okay, it was kind of like a very fleeting thing, and now it's basically been buried because everyone's just pointed out how nonsense it is. Basically, for the space of like a couple of months. Do you know a guy called Paul Joseph Watson?
Yes.
So he made a video where he claimed that increases in soy consumption are responsible for the rise of male feminism. Because he said that soy has plant estrogens in it, which are called phytoestrogens, and therefore if you eat soy, it makes you more feminine, and that's why all of these cucks are supporting feminism, and he coined the term soy boy. He was like, I've had it with these bloody soy boys spreading their feminist agenda.
Jesus Christ, man.
But yeah, that was fun. The
That
funny
was
thing
fun.
is that he actually, the Alex Jones supplements that he sells on his channel, because he's got a deal with Alex Jones, have soy in them, so it's a bit embarrassing.
Oh dear.
Anyway, so that works somehow, probably. So I'll do the actual intro now.
Okay.
Back up, chump, you know Biggie Smalls rips it quick and kicks it quick. You know how black niggas get with the hoods for keys, with the boots with trees. Flipping trees, making crazy G's. Hitting buck shots at niggas that open spots on the avenue. Take my loot and I'm bagging. Pimping hoes that drive Volvos and rodeos. Flash the roll, make a wet in they pantyhose. Damn, a nigga style is unorthodox, grips the clock. When I walk down the crowded blocks, just in case a nigga wanna act out, I just black out and blow the motherfucking back out. That's a real nigga for you.
Hello and welcome to Select and Reflect, the movie review podcast where we look at films that have come out relatively recently at the cinema and see if they still hold up upon a second watch. This week we are watching and reviewing. Sorry, we're not really watching it this week necessarily. I mean, we probably did both watch it this week, but that's not what we are doing. We're reviewing it. Predator, the film.
Yeah.
Why don't you tell us I'm Michael, and I'm joined as always by my co-host Luke. And why don't you tell us a thing or two about Predator, Luke?
Certainly, Michael. So Predator is a 1987 American science fiction action film directed by John McTiernan and written by brothers Jim and John Thomas. It stars Arnold Schwarzenegger and Carl Weathers and quite other people, but they're not important enough to get listed here. Came out on June the 12th, 1987, so yeah, more than 31 years ago. And do you want to have a guess at the budget, Michael?
100 million.
Well, you know that's not right. So, let's have a serious guess, please.
I honestly... see, here's the thing, okay? I'm thinking because it's got Schwarzenegger in it, that could get it up. But I'm also feeling like... My main question is about the special effects. 60 million.
It's 15 to 18 million.
Wow, okay.
If this was over $100 million, then that would be a greater swindle than Jack and Jill. You're just walking around in a forest.
I think I've been broken by a lot of these Marvel Star Wars films that have kind of just convinced me that films, yeah. Now 15 million, 18 million, that makes a lot of sense in my head, but I don't know why. I was just in a high expensive blockbuster movie. I mean, like for example, what's the budget for an Expendables film? Luke, and they have just as many stars, if not more, some might say.
Yeah, they have a lot more, yeah.
Yeah, okay, anyway, speaking of which, somebody says that Arnold Schwarzenegger is expendable in this film. They say, like, there's a job that needs to be done. You were expendable, and we needed you for this job. And then Arnold Schwarzenegger's like, I will probably be in the Expendables, and also I am Russian and not Austrian.
Yeah, that's a really good Schwarzenegger there.
Now, more importantly, what did it gross? I'm going to guess it grossed 100 million.
You're actually not far off, Michael.
Okay, good.
It's 98, so yeah, very decent return at the box office. So yeah.
Well done then.
Well done to them. So Michael, question is, did you like Predator?
I liked it.
Yeah, it was all right.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't.
It is. I mean, it is. What
it was. It was effective. I was going to be like, I loved it, and I thought, nah, fuck that. But no matter how much we liked a film, we always have nitpicks. So how many nitpicks did you have, Luke?
I had a grand total of 0.
Really? Okay. So I got 2.
Oh, I'm interested.
One of which I think is quite serious.
Okay.
The other one of which I think is more like a question than a nitpick, but I think it's kind of I feel like it's a correct question. So my correct question is, does mud really block a heat signature? Because especially like the small amount of mud he has on him. Like he's not like caked in mud. Like obviously if you dived into a pool of mud, someone would be able to see your heat signature, but he's just kind of got dirt on him. Like if I dumped into a muddy puddle and then, covered myself in muddy kind of a thin layer of mud head to toe, I feel like instinctively to me it seems like any heat signature recognizing thing would still be able to pick it up. That's just my honest belief, Luke.
I don't know, Michael. I don't know. He had a lot of mud on him. Like
I don't think he even had that much, to be honest, Luke. I think he more had just like a tint of mud. I think the mud was more color than substance. Like it was a very kind of deep, rich, dark brown. But I don't think there was actually that much of it in terms of I don't think it was very viscous.
This is the most anyone's ever talked about mud ever.
Yeah, well, the second one, and this one's a serious one, okay?
Okay.
And it gets me to my core. Arnold Schwarzenegger. So there's a girl with them, a woman, I suppose. And she goes to pick up a gun, and Arnold Schwarzenegger says, "Don't. It didn't get you because you weren't armed. There's no sport in it." And there's 2 things wrong with that. Number one, how does he know that? There's no contextual basis for him to know that. He's just assuming it. He's just saying, like, for example, she says it didn't get you because you're unarmed. It hasn't got a lot of people there's still lots of people alive at that point. So how does he know? Like, it hasn't actually gone after Arnold Schwarzenegger at that point, and he's been armed. So he's got no reason to know that. And then number 2, and this is the most obvious one, why wouldn't they put down their guns? If that's their logic. If he's saying, like, it doesn't get you because you're unarmed and there's no sport in it, then they should just, put down their guns and be like, look, there's no sport in hunting us, and then it'll go, oh, damn it.
Yeah, so I get what you're saying. I think maybe the logic is that he's already been shooting at it, so he can't, give up now. But you do make a good point about how the creature might actually just still want to kill her. That's the thing. Like, humans hunt deer, and deer don't fight back. So maybe the creature's like, I'm just going to kill her, I enjoy doing it. It's a passion of mine.
That reminds me, actually, just the other day, I was watching an episode of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia where they get stranded in a forest, and Frank is trying to hunt down a rabbit to eat it, basically. And then some shenanigans happen, what with it being It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. But it got me thinking, have you ever noticed how rabbits simultaneously look really cute and also really tasty? Like, I look at a rabbit and I think, oh, look at he's such a little bundle of fluff and just so cute. And then at the same time, I'm also thinking, like, look at all that meat on it. Doesn't that, if I was in the middle of a forest, that would sure be pretty tasty.
Yeah. I don't know. I thought you were going to say they looked scary. Like, you've seen Night of the Leapers. I think that's what it was called.
What about Curse of the Were-Rabbit? The Wallace and Gromit.
Oh yeah, I saw that in the cinema. Yeah.
I saw that that's one of those films that I just saw so many times in the immediate run up to it coming out. In fact, on a related note, I saw the Simpsons movie 3 times in cinemas,
Jesus.
which is the only time I've ever done that for a film. It's the only time I've ever seen a film multiple times at cinema. And it's just because, like several, I don't know, I was with several people, like family and friends and stuff, and it just so happened at different moments they were like, hey, we're going to the cinema. And the only thing there was that was really worth watching was The Simpsons. But there's a funny story, actually, which is...
It's better be funny.
Yeah, me and my cousins were at the cinema, and there were 2 films we could have chosen to watch. And I'm going to leave the other film as a bit of a reveal, because it's going to be classic. So, two of my cousins were like, we're going to watch the other film, and I was like, now I'm going to watch The Simpsons for the 3rd time with my other cousins. So I went and watched The Simpsons for the 3rd time, and when I came out, they were like, oh man, that film is so cool, that film is so awesome. And I was like, maybe, for a long time I lived with regret, because I thought, maybe I shouldn't have seen The Simpsons movie for a 3rd time. Maybe I should have seen that other movie. And do you want to know the name of that other movie, Luke?
2007.
Yeah.
That's Hancock.
No, Transformers.
That's
So
brilliant.
I think Simpsons for a 3rd time is definitely worth it. To say that I've avoided ever watching a Transformers film. You know what, Luke? At some point maybe we will end up doing a Transformers films, and then God help us.
I don't
Anyway,
think there's much point, but yeah.
the important thing is you laughed, and that's all that matters.
Yes.
So I've been validated for my tangent. But yeah, apart from those nitpicks, the next thing is of course the plot. So why don't you tell us, give us a synopsis, as it were.
Sure thing, Michael. So basically, Arnold Schwarzenegger is the leader of an elite military rescue team on a mission to save hostages in guerrilla-held territory in an unspecified country in Central America. Probably Nicaragua, but whatever. Kevin Peter Hall co-stars as the eponymous antagonist, which is the Predator, a technologically advanced form of extraterrestrial life, secretly stalking and hunting the team. So yeah, it's I don't know what. Well, it's a science fiction action film, but I do wonder if it could also be classed as like a horror movie, because it does seem to have some of those elements in it, which is quite interesting. So yeah, Predator. What did you think of the plot, Michael?
The plot. I thought the plot was reasonably good. I mean, it was kind of a pretty simple plot. It was just... I guess it was kind of weird because obviously, one thing I want to say is that you almost didn't even need the Predator in it because, for example, I mean, standard Arnold Schwarzenegger films like Commando, or even say a film like Rambo. I mean, I know it's not an Arnold Schwarzenegger film, but I ran out of Arnold
His biggest
Schwarzenegger
rivals,
films.
Kindergarten Cop.
But there is, you could have a bunch of soldiers go into a Latin American country and just blow apart a bunch of nameless guerrillas. Because obviously the first part of the film and the big kind of action scene, the biggest action scene, is them fighting a bunch of guys who are ultimately kind of just irrelevant. And it got me thinking, if the Predator didn't show up, especially if you didn't know this film was called Predator, and if they didn't have that establishing shot of that thing falling into space, you would be watching why does it keep cutting to this weird heat vision thing in the middle of this, war film? In that sense,
I like that though.
I was going to say, I do like that too because, because it's fun.
There's a sense of mystery about it. Obviously, you don't see the Predator, and that makes it scary. And obviously, we're going to talk about the actual Predator later, but I think that helps overall. By the way, we haven't said, Michael, why we're doing this. I think it's pretty obvious.
Oh, yeah, because... I wanted to mention this, because I could mention this at a later point, but I was looking at the credits, and one of the names that came up for the guy who dies first, it tells you the order of who's played, it tells you who plays who in the order of when they die, which I found interesting in the credits. The first person to die was played by Shane Black, and I recognized the name Shane Black because he directed Iron Man 3.
Oh.
And I was like, hold on, is that the same Shane Black who directed Iron Man 3? Went onto his IMDb, and guess what? He's the one who is directing The Predator, the film that's coming out, around now.
Yeah, around now, yeah.
So,
that's interesting.
So Shane Black, first guy to die in this film, is now directing The Predator. Isn't that fun?
Mm-hmm. That is fun. Very fun. Good for him. It's made a secondary career. Well, I guess it's still, working in film or whatever. But yeah, good for him. You were talking before, Michael, about how the plot was quite simple. And initially I think it's maybe the simplest premise maybe I've ever seen from a movie. I don't know. It's like this rescue team has to rescue some people. They don't rescue them, and then they gotta get out, and then guess what? There's a predator who's stalking them, who's an alien. Like, it's just such a simple movie. And I was thinking that when I was watching it, it's like, it's just such an easy idea to do. But obviously, sometimes you want a simple movie. Sometimes you want a movie which is just, sit back, relax, eat some popcorn, enjoy the tension, enjoy the thrills, the action, all of that stuff. And yeah, this delivers it. It's one of the best action movies of all time. That's how many publications view it as. So yeah, I think we talked about this before, how action movies, they're probably best when they're just simple. Because when the plot gets too convoluted, like in the Mission Impossible movie we reviewed like a month and a half or so ago, like that gets into so much detail. It's like, okay, well, there's a lot of things going on, and then you have just Tom Cruise like just jumping from a exploding helicopter onto a train. Like, come on, know what movie you're doing. And this movie was just, quite simple, and knew what it was, and like you said before, it was very effective, and it certainly was very effective. I agree wholeheartedly with that.
Yeah, if you were rating films as kind of like in terms of what they were supposed to be or what they should be, this film would be a 10 out of 10.
Yes.
So obviously it's not a Oscar winner for Best Picture or anything. It's not some kind of intelligent film that required a lot of incredible craftsmanship to make. And in that sense, in terms of films, it's not the best film ever. But in terms of just action, it's good. I also I have a theory. You mentioned it being a horror film, kind of. I have a theory about horror films that the best way to make a horror film is write a film that works without the horrific elements, and then just add in the horrific elements. So just be like, okay, I'm going to write a film about some people, and they're going to do this thing, and then suddenly this monster's going to show up, and it's like, oh wow, that's crazy. So that's my theory about horror films. If you want to make a good horror film, just write a standard film where the characters alone and what's happening makes it compelling, and then just be like, oh, let's throw a zombie in there. And I like that. So there we go. Also, this is a horror film, of course, because it's in the same universe as Aliens, and Aliens is a horror film. Well, Alien is a horror film. Well, I don't know. I guess one of them's a horror film. They're pretty horrific.
Yeah, well, I don't think I've seen Alien. I mean, I've seen bits of it, like the famous bits and all, but I haven't seen like it the whole way through. So
okay. I've seen Alien versus Predator.
See, I haven't seen that.
It's that it kind of makes the aliens into bitches, because in Alien vs Predator, it's established that the aliens are just pets of predators.
That's great. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's the thing. I remember Alien vs Predator being quite a big thing. It came out in, I'm just looking now, 2004.
Well, you know what? It might have been the first crossover film. Well, not necessarily the first, but I think possibly the first major crossover film.
Perhaps.
Where two universes met.
Perhaps, yeah. I mean, I don't know, obviously, but maybe.
Yeah.
I do remember like around that time it being like a big thing, like, Alien vs Predator and all that. And, it was...
There was a video game for it.
Yeah, video. I'd imagine. Like, video games are everything back then.
Yeah, back in the day.
Back in the early 2000s. Like, I remember Dylan, he had
Until nerds ruined video games.
Yes, he had a PlayStation.
And misogyny.
He had a PlayStation 2 this year. He brought it from his home, and he ordered Who Wants to
Harry
Be...
Potter and the Chamber of Secrets.
He did do that. That was last year, wasn't it? Or the year before this year. Yeah, he ordered... yes, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, and The Weakest Link. The fucking Weakest Link had a video game, Michael. Just to, like, it's like if they had a fucking The Chase video game, or Pointless the video game. It's crazy. Like, there's so many video games back then. But anyway, you got anything else to say about the plot of Predator?
No.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I guess that makes sense. Like I said, it's quite thin, the plot, but that's fine. It's fine. So I think we should talk about the actual Predator next. The Predator.
Yes.
He's
he is one ugly motherfucker.
He is. Like, I laughed when he said that. I was like, that's funny. That's good humor. So I think the Predator, genuinely, at least at the start, is quite scary. Now, obviously, we said it's not a horror movie, but I was thinking like, it is really like a horror movie, the way he's stalking them, and like, he appears, every now and then you kind of see him. I don't know about you, Michael, but initially I was like, this guy's scary. This is really working on just like edge of your seat drama.
Yes, I agree. I guess there's going to be an and then.
Yes, there is going to be an and then. And then you see the actual like CGI or whatever of his invisible. Like, obviously, he's got this technology that makes him invisible, and it kind of ruins it because the special effects aren't that good. And it's from 1987, so you can't criticize it that much. I don't know how good it was compared to the era, but certainly it's like, okay, right, this guy, this doesn't look realistic, really, at all, and it does remove the sort of scariness.
There were better and worse moments. Some of them were really bad. Others I was like, fine. I have you know what, Luke? What you haven't mentioned, but is, I think, so if you're right about the fact that with a lot of these films, not seeing the bad guy or whatever is the best thing of all.
Yes.
And then once you see it, it's a bit like, ooh, yeah. And there are exceptions, but generally speaking, obviously, you tend not to be able to see. And this was something horror films used to do just because it saved on special effects, I think. It's a good example of what they say, less is more.
Yes.
Something I wanted to talk about, actually.
Well, just like in Godzilla, Michael. And the one that came out in 2014.
I was thinking about Godzilla too. The other film that does it is Cloverfield, where you hardly ever see the monster because it's shot from a handheld. It's a found footage film, so the guy only ever is kind of pointing his camera at part of the monster and he's kind of running around, so you can't really see it. It's good. Anyway, but I want to talk about. I have a term for this, and it's because I watched 2 films in the space. Well, I watched 3 films in the space of 3 days, but the second film I watched was quite a good film called Bone Tomahawk, and it made me think of what I'm going to call the invincibility bait and switch, which I think you see in a lot of horror films. And it's that at the beginning, the bad guy is just so incredibly overpowered that nobody's got any hope of killing them. Like they're just murdering everyone so easy. They come in, you can't even see them coming. Everyone's already dead. And then towards the end of the film, it's like, okay, someone's got to die, and suddenly it's almost like the by the end of it, you're thinking, okay, he's defeated the bad guy, but actually, you know what? They weren't actually as hard to defeat as I initially thought. So in Bone Tomahawk, just a very quick review. First, it's a really good film, actually. I would recommend it. I'm going to spoil it, but you can already imagine what I'm going to say happens. So basically, it's these Native American, well, they're not really Native American because that wouldn't be politically correct. They are an ancient tribe of people who live in caves and are cannibals who live in the American West. And they basically attack this village, slaughter everyone with absolute ease. No one even sees them coming. Anyone, before they even see where these Native Americans are, they've already shot them in the head and scalped them and shot their dick off and eaten them. And then, at the end, everyone gets captured apart from this one guy who's got a broken leg, and he just kills 10 of them because suddenly they're just morons. Before, you didn't even see them and they'd already shot 20 volleys of arrows at people. And then all of a sudden they're like, oh, I'm going to walk out into the middle of nowhere. Oh, and that's, I don't know, yeah. So it's the Predator was hiding and then he came out and I was just like, it's not that, it seemed like obviously he was still a hard thing to beat, but it was kind of the more the film went on, the more I was thinking, okay, he started off absolutely terrifying. That also happens in the film Predators.
Predators.
And I think, Predators, which stars Adrian Brody, and is a okay film, but yeah, so that's what I'm calling it. I'm calling it the invincibility bait and switch, because they start off telling you, oh, this guy, he's just invincible, he's the most horrendous villain ever, and then they suddenly substitute him for this villain that is infinitely more defeatable, and they want you to believe that your hero has defeated the original version, but actually, clearly the original version is no longer there, and they've been replaced with this much more beatable opponent.
Yeah, it is an issue that happens in quite a lot of movies, as you outlined. But anyway, what was the point in relation to this movie, Michael?
I think it does happen a bit. I think I don't think Arnold Schwarzenegger was that clever basically, is my problem. So I think the film relies on the fact that all of them are getting killed because the Predator's picking them off. And, he does do some impressive stuff, Arnold Schwarzenegger. Like, he makes some traps and things like that. But he's not... He's kind of like, a lot of it is just luck and the Predator being a bit stupid and coming out into the middle of nowhere. And it just seems a bit like it's stuff that it wouldn't have done. If it would have been, I think, as stupid at the beginning of the film as it was at the end of the film, then all the guys could have just shot it.
Yes. I guess so. It does. I was thinking that when he walks out into the middle of the forest next to the fire, it's like you're really putting yourself in harm's way here, pal.
Yes.
Like you're just out in the open, and as we've seen, the guy, he's not invincible. His suit does malfunction, so it's not like he's invincible. And then Arnold Schwarzenegger takes advantage of that. But the thing is, obviously, he doesn't have a chance of killing the Predator unless the Predator decides, hey, let's go mano a mano. I'm going to put down all my weapons, you put down yours. Let's just have a good old-fashioned fist fight because, I respect you. So he'd kill Schwarzenegger if it wasn't for that. So,
I do agree.
So that's the thing. It's kind of like, he shouldn't have really killed him, but he did down his tools a bit. So I guess this version, because he didn't have his guns and didn't have a face mask or whatever, is more beatable. And it's because he respects Arnold Schwarzenegger. So I guess it makes sense that Schwarzenegger was able to defeat him. I agree. Certainly not that bad, I think.
Yeah, but I think I would have preferred it if a few of them survived and they kind of like. I think what I would have preferred is if, like, when there was a couple of them left, then they decided to fight back, and during the process of fighting back, some other ones died. Because the problem is what basically happens is, like, all the time that they're just getting dunked on, they're all being killed, and then Arnold Schwarzenegger's like, nah, I'm gonna go Rambo on this bitch. And then suddenly, because he references Sylvester Stallone films, because even he knows Sylvester Stallone's the real badass in the jungle, he's like, I'm gonna go Rambo on this bitch, and then no one dies. I think it would have been better if there was like 3 or 4 people, and Sylvester Stallone was like, okay, we're gonna go Rambos on this bitch. We're gonna go Rambo 1, 2, 3, and 4 on this bitch. And then when some of them died, it was like, okay, this Predator, even when they're turning around, they're getting the upper hand on him, he's still killing them. Whereas the way it kind of works is almost like Arnold Schwarzenegger's like, okay, I'm gonna turn around, I'm gonna get the upper hand on him, and the minute he decides that, Predator, he ain't killed no one. So I just think, if they would have kept a few of their deaths until during the turning point, then the turning point would have looked less like an obvious turning point.
Yeah, no, okay.
But I guess Sylvester Stallone, I guess Arnold Schwarzenegger had too much of an ego.
Yeah, that's the thing with Schwarzenegger in this movie. Like, he's just so big.
He's so thick. He's a thick boy.
He is very much so. The Predator isn't that thick, actually. Predator's very tall, which I was surprised at. Like, you don't think he looks that tall, but then he like manages to hold Schwarzenegger up, and like he's got his feet off the ground. It's like, damn, this guy's actually quite tall. Yeah, it doesn't look that tall, does he? But,
yeah.
There you go.
Also, can we talk about the fact that Predator lost?
I was going to mention that. It was like, what the hell is this? So first he repeats what Schwarzenegger said back to him, which isn't too bad. Obviously, he's just mimicking what he said. Doesn't know really the words that he's saying. Then he just laughs like manically, like as Schwarzenegger's running away. Like, this is a whole new thing. Like, the guy can laugh. He knows humor. Like, it's very weird. Yeah.
But as it does establish in the film Predators that the Predators have an ability to mimic human beings, and that is played into it at several points where they're able to trick people into giving away their position. So there we go. Predators can mimic human beings, and I guess this Predator was learning to mimic human beings. Maybe they're just zoologists, like interstellar zoologists. They come down to a planet and they just want to study people and murder them. Maybe that's it. Maybe that's all they want to do. Like, all they want to do is just study people and murder them.
Yeah, it's like maybe like a gap year.
Yeah.
Like he's spending his gap year on Earth in Nicaragua, Costa Rica, whatever, just studying and killing.
Yeah, it's fine.
Just what you do when you're a Predator.
The gap year where he makes a gap in someone's chest because he's exploded it with his proton gun.
Yeah, that's good. So I just want to talk a bit about the costume, Michael, or the design of the Predator. So according to documentaries, blah, 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 the original monster suit was vastly different from the final product. Designed by Stan Winston. The original monster was a disproportionate... Yeah, well, so do I.
Stan Winston. What is he famous for? Why do I know him?
Well, I'm just going to... Actually, you know what? I'm not going to do that. If you want to look up Stan Winston, you can. Okay, he's an American television and film special makeups and effects creator who's best known for his work in the Terminator series and the first 3 Jurassic Park films.
Oh, yeah.
Aliens.
Park,
yeah. Oh,
so,
and also
you know
Edward Scissorhands, and he's won 4 Academy Awards. Jesus. So
it makes sense we know him.
Yeah. The original monster was a disproportionate ungainly creature with large yellow eyes and a dog-like head. And also it was nowhere near as agile as later portrayed. That would look very weird. Like, a dog-like head would just be kind of crazy.
Looked up... Okay, this is actually really interesting. To be honest, it looks pretty cool. I just looked up Predator original design.
Oh, I'm going to do that as well.
It looks reasonably cool.
Predator original design. Let me see.
If you just look at the first option.
Oh yeah, that looks scary.
Like, the way you described it sounded kind of terrible, but yeah, it's not that bad actually.
Scary as
so I wouldn't have been disappointed if they went for that.
Yeah, this is kind of bad radio actually, but yeah.
Yeah, sorry. Maybe I don't know. We'll do something.
Yeah, you just put a picture of it. Yeah, no, that does look decent. But yeah, I still think I like the dreadlocks.
Design is good.
Yeah, dreadlocks are good.
Yeah. Well, I think the real crime, apart from murdering all those people, was cultural appropriation.
Yeah. I just want to... You know who actually had a hand in designing Predator, Michael?
Arnold Schwarzenegger.
No.
Okay.
We mentioned a movie he's directed.
James Cameron.
Yes, James Cameron. So McTiernan consulted Winston after production became troubled. While on a plane ride to Fox Studios alongside Aliens director James Cameron, Winston sketched monster ideas. Cameron suggested he had always wanted to see a creature with mandibles. Oh no,
it's mandibles. There we go.
Mandibles, which came part of the Predator's iconic look. So yeah, mandibles. What are those things? Mandibles are
they're like things that bugs have.
Yeah, a pair of mouth parts used for either biting or cutting and holding food. They're referred to as jaws. Yeah, good stuff. So yeah, actually, when he takes off his mask, he got those things near his mouth.
Yeah, bugs have them.
So yeah, that's what James Cameron contributed to this, and obviously his aliens were later partnered with the Predator, as we mentioned before in Alien vs Predator. So yeah, small world.
What if the Predator, okay, hear me out here, looked like a giant wasp?
I don't think that would work.
Okay, but it would be pretty cool.
I mean,
Okay, here's my plan, okay? This is my plan for the B movie we're going to do to kind of... I know, like, B movie is a bit funny because... I mean like the original sense of B movie. I mean a very cheap movie.
W movie.
Yeah, the W movie we're going to do. So some people go to, like, a planet, or I don't know, they just go anywhere, and there's, like, not giant wasps, but, like, wasps that are, like... Well, they are giant, they're not as big as the Predator, so they're, like, 3 feet long. And they can turn invisible. And... they hunt down these people, and they like just fucking kill everyone.
Just fucking kill everyone. Yeah,
that would be good.
I remember. I think I saw a Doctor Who episode once with a massive wasp. I think there was.
Okay.
Yeah, and it wasn't that scary from what I can remember. Yeah.
The unicorn and the wasp.
The Doctor, I think.
I can. Holy shit. There's just a giant wasp in the door.
Yeah.
And he's just looking at it.
The Doctor to kill the wasp just uses a massive fly swatter. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
what is?
I've seen that picture. He's just literally in the doorway, like he's welcoming the Doctor to his house. Like
the worst thing is the CGI is worse than Predator.
Yeah.
Anyway, so let's not talk about giant wasps. We don't want to give away all our ideas.
Also, the giant wasp was in Simpsons Hit and Run as well. Let's not forget that.
Oh yeah, the cameras.
Yeah, the cameras. Yeah.
Brilliant.
They weren't that scary. Actually, you know what? Dylan had that game on his PS2, and he said to me that he was really scared of the wasps when he was a kid. When he had the game when he was like 7 years old, and like he whenever he used to see the wasp, instead of killing them, which is what you're meant to do, obviously, to get coins, he used to run away from them because he was so terrified.
Maybe he was stung by a wasp when he was a kid.
Yeah, maybe. Were you ever stung by a wasp, Michael?
I think I was stung by a wasp several times, but I remember one time I was stung by a wasp because I tried to jump over a ditch and I accidentally landed in the ditch. And then I got out and there was a wasp on my ankle and it was stinging me. My sister got stung by a wasp on the mouth. She was eating an ice lolly when she was a kid and a wasp landed on the ice lolly and then she put the ice lolly in her mouth.
What a fucking idiot.
I mean, yeah.
So how do you not notice a wasp in your ice lolly?
Yeah, well, the thing is, I don't know, maybe you just don't look at your ice lolly. Do you always look at your ice lolly every second?
No, but if you're holding it up to your face, think about it.
Yeah, that's true.
Wasp's going to be, near it. You can see it flying about, or notice, hey, maybe this shouldn't be on my ice lolly, but whatever.
I'm allergic to bee stings.
Ah.
So there we go. I've been stung by a bee once, and it was really, really crap.
Did you get
It wasn't okay. It wasn't as bad. It wasn't one of those lethal. It's not like a lethal allergic reaction. It's just my entire. It's really bad though because my entire body suddenly becomes really itchy, but so intensely itchy, and it's the worst thing ever because you're scratching it and you're just itching everywhere.
Can you hear that?
It's you just feel like you're going crazy. Yeah, I can.
Yeah.
So yeah, there we go. So it's just annoying, and I don't enjoy it at all. It is the single worst experience ever. So I try and avoid bee stings, but yeah, I wouldn't die if I got one.
Okay, so that obviously has a lot to do with Predator. Now we've gone on,
yes.
on a bit of a tangent here. So yeah, I think we've discussed the actual Predator a lot, along with bee stings and wasps and all that. But yeah, very scary. Just a shame about the CGI kind of removes that, the scariness as you go on later in the movie. Now, Michael, we should talk about the action, I think.
Yeah, to be honest, I say talk about the action. There's not much, apart from obviously, the first bit of action is, of course, like we've already said, the almost irrelevant bit of action. I mean, it's not completely irrelevant, but it's nothing to do with the Predator, which is when they kill the gorillas. And like I've already said, that's also possibly the biggest bit of action, the most action, because it's just explosions everywhere.
Yeah, it goes on for a while.
It does go on for a while. You keep thinking that they're going to kill it, but
yeah,
you keep thinking they're all dead now. But no, there's a lot of them.
It got to the stage in which they blew up so much stuff, and after the end of it, Carl Weathers goes into a hut and he's picking up some paper, and he's wait, there was stuff that isn't blown up, there's still paper that wasn't burned to a crisp. I was how big is this base? It didn't look that big from the outset, but
yeah, it didn't look like the kind of thing you do if you were looking for hostages. They basically just exploded everything.
Yeah.
It kind of spiraled out of control. Initially it sort of started off they were okay, you go there, stab this guy really quick, and then Arnold Schwarzenegger was okay, I'm gonna put a bomb on a car, and then I'm gonna lift up that car because I'm a beast, and then I'm gonna blow up that, and then some guy comes up, I've got a grenade launcher, and from that point onwards,
grenade launchers are so OP.
They may have gone a bit too far in some places.
Maybe.
Grenade launchers are OP, but the problem is it's sort of you don't want to waste them on just one person. Is the problem with grenade launchers?
Yeah.
You have to wait for people to group together. That's the only annoying thing about it. You need to have some patience.
Well, not if you've got Scavenger on.
That's true. I don't know what game you're actually talking about.
Modern Warfare 2. So basically, you had this thing in Modern Warfare 2. Well, you can use grenade launchers in all of the Call of Duty games, but there was this famous setup thing in Modern Warfare 2. It was called the Noob Tube for the grenade launchers. So you just all you had to do if you had this perk on, which was Danger Close, I believe, and all you could basically what Danger Close did, it amplified the grenade damage. So you just shoot a grenade anywhere near the vicinity of somebody and they die. And Scavenger, basically you can keep picking up ammo every time you go over somebody's dead body. Yeah. So you could keep on just killing people very easily. So that was very overpowered.
Yeah, that is very OP. Maybe that was the true Predator.
Yeah, maybe. Predator versus Danger Close. YouTube. Who wins?
But apart from that, the action. Actually, one thing I wanted to say. No, maybe we can talk about. No, I'm not going to talk about. I was going to say we can talk about it as the character, but I don't want to. the kind of Native American looking guy who may or may not have been Native American, he could have been Hispanic or even Asian.
Oh yeah, that
he's
guy.
the guy who
Billy,
with the
I think he's
blade,
called.
the machete. Yeah, with the machete.
Yes.
And he's like, hey, I've got a machete. He kind of just like, his death makes him look a bit like a bitch. Because it's like, all like badass, like, yeah, I'm gonna take on. And I thought we would at least see him fight the Predator. And, at the end he dies. Because, he's got his machete. I thought he was going to walk up to the Predator, fight him for a bit, and eventually he would die. But instead he's just like this whole badass thing with him getting out this machete, dragging it across his chest to draw blood, which I refuse to believe doesn't hurt. And would be something that someone would want to do to themselves. And then you just hear him go, I'm dead. And it's just like, okay, well, that was kind of pointless. So that wasn't much action. Yeah, there's not much action in this because it's kind of, well, until the very end, because a lot of it's just people dying suddenly.
Yeah, there's a lot of tension. Kind of reminded me
Yeah.
of Dunkirk in that respect. Like just
Yes.
characters again and again and again, trying to escape the Predator. But yeah, I think the action, yeah, there wasn't a lot, and the bits that were there weren't that great. That's the thing, like it's an action film and all that, but it's one of the best. That's how it's classified. But the action in it isn't actually that good. It's everything around the action which makes it an enjoyable movie, rather than the actual action, which is unusual for an action film. Said action so many times there. So yeah. Also, one more thing, the director. I'll just get it up again. The man is John McTiernan. He loves to shoot slow motion shots of people falling. Like that happened about 5 times, especially when the military people were killing the guerrillas, and you see multiple people just flying through the sky.
I'm pretty sure they also used the same stock scream effect twice. I can really get into the session. It was like, whoa, whoa.
That doesn't surprise me. And it happens at the end as well with Arnold Schwarzenegger when he falls into the lake or
Yeah, that
river.
was a bit
It's
funny.
like really slow motion. It's like, what is it? What is with this guy and his slow motion like falling shots? Like he really likes them. It's like it's the most incredible thing ever. Somebody like falling. Like gravity is just this unbelievable thing, that needs to be captured in detail.
Yeah, he's a real Isaac
He's
Newton.
real, yeah. So yeah, I just thought I'd point that out. But yeah, so I think we're done with the action.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on to the characters then.
Yes.
So, Arnold Schwarzenegger as Major Alan Dutch Schaefer. This, as we said before, this guy played by Schwarzenegger, he's just so big. He's got so much
huge.
testosterone. He's fucking huge. He's an absolute beast, And yeah, I don't know what there is to say about him, to be honest.
Yeah, he's so big.
Yeah, this might be the peak of Schwarzenegger's career. I'm not sure though, because obviously Predator is a very famous movie, that's why they're remaking it. And Schwarzenegger, very famous actor, particularly in the 80s. This could be his peak, like him being in this movie. Because I'm not sure if I can actually. Oh, obviously there's Terminator, but there was like sequels and all that. So yeah, maybe Terminator 2 is his peak. But yeah, this is definitely up there. I don't know. What do you think about that?
I'm actually looking at some of his films. Okay, so in 1987 he did The Predator. Sorry, no, not just Predator and The Running Man. However, in 1984 he did Conan the Destroyer and The Terminator. In 1990 he did Total Recall and Kindergarten Cop. I think...
What's the movie when he plays Danny DeVito's brother?
Is that Twins?
Yeah, is that what it's just called?
1988.
Twins? Yeah.
I think, yeah, that's it. What's the one where he plays a pregnant... Okay, Junior. So here's the thing, okay? He did Kindergarten Cop in 1990. After this, he made like a big move to like fun family comedies, because he did Junior, he did Jingle All the Way, he did Dr. Dolittle 2, and then he went back to action. He did Collateral Damage, Terminator 3, Rise of the Machines.
Yeah. That was a weird part in his career, wasn't it?
Yeah, he just in the late 90s, early 2000s. Well, actually, no, 90s. Sorry, all of the 90s to the early 2000s. He suddenly thought, let's do fun fun family comedies.
Yeah, very strange.
Beautiful.
I just want to say one thing about Schwarzenegger's acting. When he's talking to Carl Weathers about the fact that it's all the mission is bullshit and all that,
he says, "It's bullshit. I did not hit her. I did not."
I was just about to say that, Michael. He channels his inner Tommy Wiseau. Like, it sounds so much like Tommy Wiseau. Obviously, he's got the accent and everything in his great English, and it's like, yeah, it's all bullshit, Carl. It's all bullshit. You lied to me, Carl. Why you lie? Whatever Carl Weathers' character's called, that's what he says. So yeah, that's not the best acting from Schwarzenegger.
No.
Yeah. Next up, we got Carl Weathers as a CIA operative, Al Dillon, whatever. So, Carl Weathers, by the way, Michael, is also in Arrested Development. Don't know if you knew that.
I didn't know.
Well, he is. But very funny in it as well. So yeah, he's a CIA operative, he lies. But yeah, basically, just a guy, really. Just the guy he's meant to be. He's not the bad guy. He's not the antagonist, really, and he gets killed. Pretty much it. It's not his movie. That's the thing. When the movie started, I was like, oh, these two are gonna kill or not, they're gonna kill the Predator, but they're gonna go up against. These are gonna be the last two people left, like Schwarzenegger and Carl Weathers. But obviously, he dies in the middle. Like, there's nothing really special about his character, which is interesting that they decided to do that. Yeah, you got anything to say on Carl Weathers?
No. He was kind of weirdly uninteresting. I mean, I guess he was just like a standard friendly friend at the beginning, and then he stopped.
Yeah. We got Elpida Carrillo next as Ana Gonçalves. Now, you wanted to say stuff about this character.
So I kind of didn't like this character that much. Well, okay, so...
Wow, the only woman character you don't like.
Here's the thing, okay, so number one, it's pretty convenient that the only woman character it happens to be punched because she's sneaking up on someone. So she just gets knocked out, she doesn't get killed. And it's also quite convenient that she's pretty damn hot. She obviously had to be a sexy Hispanic woman. She couldn't be just normal. And then the other thing is she keeps escaping, and it's just like, why don't you just kill her? Or she keeps trying to escape at first. And it's like, I'm just thinking well, what's she doing here? I just found her presence annoying. And the other thing is he sends her, he's like, get to the chopper, to get rid of her. And you just think, she was a bad person, really.
Yeah, she was a gorilla.
The only reason they need to bring her in is for information. You just think, I don't know, it just seemed a bit arbitrary. The whole thing, it seemed a bit contrived that she was even there. And it seemed a bit weird that they were making such an effort to just not, shoot her. And obviously she gets less annoying because eventually it reaches a point where she decides to actually cooperate in order to, not die. But for that kind of bit in the middle where that someone's going to die because the Predator's stalking them, and you're just thinking, and they've got this freaking nonce with them who's going to just be fucking everything up by trying to escape. And you just think, So yeah, she got less annoying as it went on, but that was a period where I was thinking, okay, I don't want her to be in this.
So here's the thing, I thought at the start, well, not at the start, obviously she's escaping with them. She, picks up some of the Predator's blood, on the leaf. And, that's the thing, I don't know if she was carrying it with her, so that the Predator could catch up and kill all these people who were, had her captured. I don't know if that was the thinking, because I thought initially that was the case, but then...
I didn't think that, but that's an interesting fan theory you got there.
Yeah, but that's the thing, then she, starts helping them. So I was like...
That would have been cool, actually.
Yeah, and if you are helping them, why didn't you tell, them immediately? She says a story later on about how, the old women in a village or whatever used to talk about, the Predator, and, he came out when he was hot.
Yeah.
I was like, well, this information is pretty crucial. You could have said this, several hours or, I don't know, a day earlier. That would have been very helpful to the whole thing about understanding this Predator.
I am surprised there was no romantic element to her, by the way.
Yeah, she does seem to switch as soon as Arnold Schwarzenegger talks, nice to her. Then you can talk English, that old cliche. But yeah, so yeah, that's her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, she was just a bit of a weird character to have in there, to be
Yeah,
honest.
I guess it's a
And
different
by the end, She
element.
wasn't too annoying.
You know, it's like, oh, there's a female character, you know, like, oh, you got all these males, oh, he's a female character, you know, it's like, oh, something a bit different. But yeah, and obviously, she's used
Why can't women just have their own franchise, Luke?
she's used to by Arnold Schwarzenegger to say to make the point that the predator is hunting them for sport. So yeah, it's although you have pointed out that how illogical that could be, you know, it's still like useful to determine because it was true, obviously, determining the predator's like motivations and stuff. You know, having a quote unquote innocent character amongst the group, certainly, yeah, I don't think it was the worst choice ever. I think it did add a new dimension to it. So yeah, that's Ana Gonzalez. Then you got a list of all the other characters that were with them. Bill Duke is Mac Elliott. That's the black guy. Dies. He really likes the mood, doesn't he? Richard Chavez as Jorge Poncho Ramirez. I believe that's the guy who like gets hit by a log or something and then shot in the head by the predator. Jesse Ventura as Blaine Cooper. Sonny Landon as Billy Soul. Shane Black as Rich Hawkins.
I want to jump in here, Luke, and talk about this character a bit.
Sure.
He has a character moment because, well, first of all, like I say, Shane Black, he directs The Predator, isn't that exciting? But also, he says some jokes, and I was thinking, I kind of thought, I don't know, so he says two jokes. His first joke is, I said to my girlfriend, I'd like a little pussy, and she said, me too, mine's as big as a house. And then the other one is, of course, I was going down on my girlfriend the other night, and I said, you've got a really big pussy. You've got a really big pussy. And she said, why'd you say that twice? And I said, I didn't. You get it because of the echo. And I liked how the guy laughed. the guy, I liked how it was I don't know who it was the weird Native American, but probably Hispanic looking person. And he just pauses for a bit and then he goes, whoa.
That might be Jesse Ventura, by the way.
Yeah, that could make sense. Ace Ventura, Pet Detective.
Jesse Ventura served as the 38th governor of Minnesota from 1999 to 2003.
Wow,
he was the first and only member of the Reform Party to win a major government position.
Should we see if the Reform Party is racist? Oh, good. Centrism,
I don't think they are.
Populism.
But
No, that's not bad.
Then he joined the Green Party, yeah. I remember, do you know Ross Perot and all that?
Yeah, I do actually. Ross Perot.
Yeah.
Where do I know Ross Perot from?
Well, he was the Reform Party
presidential I feel like I know him from something famous, though.
Well, he was a presidential candidate. It's pretty
yeah,
famous.
I feel like I know him from something important.
In 92 and 96, he apparently helped Bill Clinton in 92 and 96. I don't know if Clinton would have won without him, but it certainly aided him.
Wait, hold on, Luke. Are you saying that the way the American electoral system works means that if somebody joins the party and becomes really successful, they'll ultimately hurt their own objectives by taking votes away from their most closely aligned political opponents?
Yes. Yes, I am.
Well, shouldn't they just change that system so that, that doesn't happen?
Yeah, no, you know what, Michael? I think they should. Especially the first past the post in itself is stupid, and then you got this whole electoral college thing, which can actually not win a lot of votes or win less votes than your opponent and still become president.
Yeah, but I don't think that's ever going to happen in practice, Luke. I mean, let's be honest.
I think if that happens, they'll change it.
Yeah, obviously. I mean, well, even Donald Trump, they thought that Obama was going to win on the electoral college and lose the
popular
vote. And Donald Trump, I think, very wisely pointed out that they should abolish the electoral college.
Did he say that?
Yeah. Do you know about that? Oh, so you don't know about that? That's crazy. So Donald Trump, when Obama wanted to abolish electoral college. I'll see if I can find.
Oh yeah, no, I remember. So yeah, it was when back in 2012 that Romney was leading in the popular vote category, but Obama was going to win the electoral college. And that's the thing. Like, I'm pretty sure that at that stage nobody was suggesting that Obama would lose the popular vote, but Trump just saw the numbers, and maybe California hadn't been counted yet, and everyone knew that's a win for Obama in California, so that's a popular state. So he's like, oh, look at this, like Romney's ahead in the popular vote, they should change it. It's just
this. Okay, these are his quotes. He lost the popular vote by a lot and won the election. We should have a revolution in this country. The phony electoral college made a laughingstock out of our nation. The loser won. We can't let this happen. We should march on Washington and stop this travesty. Our nation is totally divided. Let's fight like hell and stop this great and disgusting injustice. The world is laughing at us. More votes equals a loss. Revolution.
That is just so beautiful. Like, 4 years later, like, that is just absolute perfect. Just,
Yes,
oh god!
brilliant.
Like, the first thing he justifies it in his mind by saying 3 million illegal votes or whatever. But yeah, that's great. So anyway, so that was Jesse Ventura. We went off on a real tangent.
But yeah, so like I say, the Rick Hawkins, weirdly kind of, he was given like quite a bit of characterization with the jokes and stuff, and he just dies right away. So
those jokes are weird as well. I was like, it was, you know, I don't get the jokes.
It reminded me of a standard like Vietnam film, because I've watched quite a few Vietnam films, and they like to have characters make crass jokes. I think it's kind of
show them men.
Yeah, I think that's it. Yeah, it's good. It's like it happens a lot in war films. Like the characters make crass jokes, which like a lot of people wouldn't even find funny in real life, but like everyone laughs at them. So it's just like, so my girlfriend's got a big pussy, and everyone's like, ah. Oh, that makes me laugh almost as much as burned Vietnamese children.
Wow,
that's what I say.
Yeah, it was like it was missing a scene, and they just like talk about how I'm gonna make you laugh. You know, oh, I'm really funny. You know, I'm going to show you that I'm funny, but yeah.
You mean like in Full Metal Jacket where Private Joker becomes Private Joker?
Yeah, exactly like that.
Yeah.
Mm.
Good stuff.
So, I think we're done with the characters, by the way.
Yeah, so now you know what we need to talk about now, Luke. We need to talk about the meme lines.
Yes.
Of which, and also...
You're very passionate about this, Michael.
There are 3 meme lines and 1 meme thing. So the 1 meme thing is when they do that hardcore... high five turned handshake turned arm wrestle.
Yeah, I've been seeing that meme quite a lot recently, and I didn't know where it was from, obviously. And it's like, it's from Predator. That's great.
It's a beauty. So yeah, that's obviously a very contemporary meme.
Yes.
And just incredible in every way. And I think, you know, Donald Trump, if his obnoxious handshakes were like that, well then it would be a very different world.
96% approval rating.
Yeah. If he did that too, but we all know that Macron would be able to beat him because Macron is the neoliberal king.
We've talked so much about politics in this episode.
Anyway, and the 3 meme lines: Arnold Schwarzenegger throwing a machete at somebody and saying "stick around."
Yes, that was great. I laughed at that. Did you laugh at that?
I recognized it, so I did laugh at it, but I laughed it in like an I recognize it kind of way.
All right.
But yeah, it was fun.
It's the thing that it wasn't like a lot of quippy lines in it, and he just like kills somebody, and it's just stick around. It's like, well, where did that come from?
And then the other thing after that, this isn't actually a meme one. I don't think this is as famous, but he goes knock knock. So he decides to go for 2 randomizer, and then of course the other 2 are number 1. I don't know how I'm doing this week. I ain't got time to bleed.
Yes, I thought I'd heard that before, because I was like, that seems like something that I'd heard. It seems like a famous line, and yeah, like it's one
You're
of
bleeding, man. I ain't got time to bleed.
What's more quote unquote badass, that line, or I fucked guys like you in jail?
What's that from?
Fuck, what is it? Fuck, what is it from? Maybe in the 70s.
I recognise it so
Roadhouse,
much.
I think.
I think look it up.
I think it's from Roadhouse.
That works to me. Let's find out.
Roadhouse was in the 70s,
right. Yeah.
You type so loud, Michael. I just want to point that out.
Well, it's because it's Roadhouse.
Yes.
Well, I guess.
Oh, shit, Roadhouse was 89. Fuck.
Wow, you're like an idiot.
Yeah.
To be fair, I didn't even know. I was just agreeing with you. On record, I was just agreeing with you because I wanted to placate you.
Roadhouse.
I think they're all.
So yeah, which is the best line?
Badass. I think I ain't got time to bleed is a real classic. And the other thing I like about that is the guy's reaction. Like he just goes, "Oh, okay," and it's kind of like weird to just see like a normal person's reaction to a line like that.
Yeah.
He's just like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah.
Doesn't actually. He's like, "Wow, you're cool." He just goes, "Oh, okay."
If a guy like that said that, you think, what a fucking weirdo.
Oh. Yeah. And final one is of course, "Get to the chopper."
Yes.
Which
Those
is
famous
apparently
ones.
famous.
Yeah.
Um,
Don't know why, really,
And
but yeah.
yeah, it's not that. To be honest, the weird thing is I always misremember it because it's a bit more kind of reserved than the meme would have you believe.
Yes.
Like the meme would have you believe it's like get to the chopper, but actually just like it's more like a get to the chopper.
Yeah, it doesn't say it that
Different,
enthusiastically.
Yeah. So it's not as funny, but whatever. It's a meme, and we have to you have to
Yeah.
honor the memes.
Actually, Michael, the line "get to the chopper." Wait. Yeah. So he says Schwarzenegger says the line again in later appearances, including the new Celebrity Apprentice. That was the Celebrity Apprentice after Trump became president, so he couldn't continue doing that anymore. And he also used that line for the advertisements for the mobile video game Mobile Strike. So yeah, still earning him money all those years later.
That's beautiful, Luke.
Yep.
It's truly beautiful.
Truly beautiful. So yeah, that is Predator. I think you got anything else to say about it?
No. So that was quite a quick one, even though we went off on a whole lot of tangents, and
Yes, we
it's still
did.
one of our quickest reviews ever, well, in recent years, recent days, recent weeks.
Oh look, Michael, I'm reading the reviews of Predator in the Wikipedia page, and feminist Susan Faludi called it
Oh, I know Susan Faludi.
one of an endless stream of war and action movies in which women are reduced to mute and incidental characters or banished altogether.
Susan Faludi is famous for writing the book Backlash.
What's
No,
Backlash
no.
about?
It's about how during the 1980s and early 1990s, the second wave feminist movement was pushed back by a backlash, and therefore the third wave feminist movement needed to come back. So during the 1980s with Reagan and Thatcher, there was kind of a pushback to conservative family values and conservative policies and things like that.
Yeah.
And there was an increasing number of people who said things like, oh yeah, feminists, they're just complaining about everything, blah, 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 blah. And then she was saying like, oh, and that sucked.
Almost like something similar's happening 30 years later.
Yeah, weird.
Yeah,
Crazy.
you have a liberal or more progressive policies, social justice, I guess, and then you have a backlash against it.
Crazy.
Rinse and repeat. So yeah,
Yes.
that is Predator. I'll just wrap up then, I guess. My conclusion to Predator is this: it's an effective movie. I think Roger Ebert actually is complimentary of the film in a way that I am also. I agree with him basically. He says,
Well done, Luke. You agree with Roger
Yeah.
Ebert. You must be a genius.
I am a genius. I'm very smart. He says it supplies what it claims to supply, an effective action movie, which is exactly the case. If you like action movies, you'll love this. Not very complicated. Just they have to escape the Predator. That's it. And the Predator kills people. He's very scary, apart from the CGI. And yeah, it's good. It's entertaining. And Michael, I'm probably gonna give it a 7 out of 10.
Good. What am I going to give it?
Yeah.
Well, okay, so I think this film was good, yeah, entertaining, yeah, effective, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
My main question is, where do I put it? And I think it's, I have to think, like, how good is it? And I would say as far as action goes, like, it's not, I don't think it's the best action film. I think, even though it does everything it needs to do, like, quite a few action films do things better. And for that reason, I'm actually going to put it below Ocean's 11 and above. See, I don't think I added in the film we did last week, which was Coming Home. Coming to America.
Yeah.
But I feel like I put Coming to America in a really similar place. But I'm going to put this between Ocean's 11 and Mission Impossible. So below Ocean's 11, above Mission Impossible.
Yeah. So that's pretty fair. Yeah. Predator and Mission Impossible, both two action movies, but very, very different.
Yes.
Yes. So there we go. That's Predator. Thanks for listening. Next week, what do we do, Michael? We're doing Grease.
I think we are.
Yes.
We're quite close to doing, it makes sense because we're quite close to October, but I'm looking forward to when we just do horror films.
Yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of horror films, so I'm not really looking forward to that, to be honest.
You dickhead. You total cunt.
Okay. Okay,
That's fine.
Yeah.
Would you say Grease is about as scary a horror film as you're willing to watch?
Yeah.
Are you worried, the biggest fear for you is worrying that things might not work out in a perfect relationship at the end?
I mean, I haven't seen Grease, Michael, so I don't know what to expect. So is that
You know what? Here's a fun fact. I've seen Grease too, but I haven't seen Grease.
That's crazy.
It's because, I don't know, it's just on, and I think it was one of those situations where I was kind of like at, a relative's house.
I didn't even know.
There was nothing really to do.
Sorry, I didn't even know Grease 2 existed.
I didn't know it existed, so yeah. I didn't watch all of it, to be fair. I picked it up, say, I don't know, however far. I watched it from when I kind of switched the channel to it until the end, and it was beautiful.
Yeah, it's like when I found out there was 2 more Matrix movies. And I'm like, what?
You didn't know there were 2 more Matrix
movies?
Well,
I knew about... I watched The Matrix because it was famous and all that. I was like, oh, this is a really good movie. I really enjoyed it. And I was like, oh, wait, there's 2 more of these? What the fuck? Are they any good? And no, they weren't. So yeah. It's like when I watched it for the first time, I didn't realize there were sequels after that. That was basically my thinking on The Matrix. But yeah, so there you go. Thank you for joining us. We have been selecting and reflecting on Predator, because the release of The Predator, a very different movie, very different name. That's coming out soon. So yeah, thanks for watching. Who have you been, Michael?
I've been Michael.
I've been Luke, and join us next week for Grease. Goodbye.
Good job.
You didn't say goodbye, Michael. Just saying.
Goodbye.
Yeah, there you go.